What's up, Louis? It's Guys here. I hope you're doing great. In today's video, I'm going to share 5 property buying tips every beginner buyer in South Africa must know. Number 5 is a mistake that almost every beginner buyer in South Africa makes. So if there's one thing you avoid, make sure that it's number 5. With that said, these are tips or tricks or mistakes that people make, and just by following these 5 simple tips, you'll be able to succeed in property in South Africa. And the first one is a very common issue. People buy property in their own name. Setting up the right entities from the start is going to help you succeed in your property buying journey. Whether it's a primary residence or an investment property, setting up the right structure from the beginning is vital. Yes, it costs money to set up, and yes, it costs money to manage, but it's absolutely worth that money at the end of the day. The only reason people buy property in their own name is because it's easy. It's easier to buy a property in your own name, it's cheaper to do it, and it's much quicker to secure a property. Just remember, anything worth pursuing is going to be difficult, and that's where structuring comes in. You need to learn about structuring, you need to understand the different entities available that you can use for your benefit, and people buy property in their own name so quickly because that's what they know. They've been taught that your primary residence would be the best investment you ever make, and you need to own it in your own name. But this is actually incorrect, and this is a strategy that has been followed for many years, but it doesn't actually work. I'm not saying that your home is not an investment. I just mean, why would you buy a property in your own name if you can protect it in a different way? So there's 4 main reasons why you would buy in a different entity, and these are very, very important reasons. The first one is tax benefits. There's so many different tax methods that you can use to legally reduce your taxes when you set up the right entities. Stuff like the conduit principle, paying out money to your beneficiaries, loan agreements, and so much more. Yes, you still have advantages when you buy it in your personal name, but you just have so much more options when you do it in different entities. The second reason is asset protection. The bigger your portfolio becomes, the more likely it will be that you'll run into issues where people want a cut of your pie. As soon as you start making money, people tend to want to take it away from you. By setting up the right entities, you can protect your assets from these people and make sure that you do not lose them. Asset protection is a big part of wealth creation because we need to protect our assets, and you've probably heard about the term called ring fencing, and this is ultimately the goal. We want to ring fence our assets and keep it away from people that want to take it. The third reason is for estate planning. If you think it's expensive to live in South Africa, it's hell expensive to die in South Africa. You end up paying estate duty, there's executor fees that you need to pay, and it's such a mission to transfer your property from your personal name to your wife or your kids or wherever it needs to go. We can so easily remove this issue by setting up the right entities, and with a trust setup, which is a living trust or an inter vivos trust, for example, your property portfolio can literally go on when you pass away. You will have a replacement trustee which will manage your portfolio, and nothing gets transferred. It would simply continue to run like it used to. So it makes it so much easier to transfer your wealth from one individual to another without paying fees or taxes or struggling with administration. That alone is a big one for me, and that brings me to the last one, which is growth potential. Eventually you'll run out of affordability when you buy property in your own name, whether it's your primary residence or investment properties. Eventually you'll run out of money. By setting up the right entities, this can actually help you to increase the amount of properties that you can buy because you are able to hide a bit of your debt from your lenders. This is not an illegal or sketchy method. This is just simply how different entities work. So make sure you do a bit of research on entities, because this is like the foundation of your property portfolio or your property buying journey. That brings me to the second mistake or the second tip, and that is understand how to run the numbers on a property deal. Yes, if you buy it to live in it, it still needs to be analyzed like a normal property deal. I like to keep things as simple as possible. We have our income, we have our expenses, and we end up with a cash flow or a shortfall amount. I try to buy properties that generate cash flow, which actually puts money in my pocket instead of costing me money. The problem is people never run these numbers. They buy a property And once it's registered and once the rent starts coming in, or once they start paying back the bond, they quickly realize that there's so many extra costs that's added onto their bill, and it can ruin you financially if you do not plan for it. So make sure you know how to run the numbers. You don't have to be a mathematician. It's napkin type formulas where you take your income, you deduct your expenses, and you check what you have left at the end of the day. I have this free Excel sheet that you can download. I'll share the link down below. Use that. That's the one that I use, and it just makes it so much easier. The third thing is people tend to overpay for properties, especially when it comes to their primary residence. And I almost made this exact mistake with my primary house because we involve emotions when we buy our primary house. It's no longer about the numbers, only we imagine the perfect family home with all the nice renovations and all the changes we could make, and we end up making an emotional based decision instead of a data and numbers backed decision. So what happens is people see a listing which is the ideal type of property for their family, and they end up paying full price for that property. But we need to remember, just because it's listed at that price doesn't mean it's actually worth that amount. At the end of the day, you are paying so much extra just in interest because you overpaid for it. You pay a higher transfer and registration cost, and your monthly repayment is going to be more as well. So make sure you understand how to value a property. It's as simple as doing a bit of market research, getting advice from an agent, getting some TPN reports, and making sure that you know how to accurately value a property so that you do not overpay for it. That brings me to number 4, and it's to build an emergency fund. This is an issue so many South Africans struggle with because generally we don't have disposable income. We don't have money that we can save or invest. But people go ahead and buy millions of rands worth of property without having an emergency fund. Yes, you can always build an emergency fund as you grow, but the idea would be to have a safety net specifically for your property if something goes wrong. Imagine you overpaid for property and you don't have an emergency fund, and something happens and the interest rates go up and you can't afford to pay that property anymore. You can literally ruin your financial position very, very quickly. And that brings me to the last point or tip or mistake, and that is to do not overextend yourself financially. It adds on to the last point that I mentioned, but what happens is people qualify for a 4 million rand property and they end up buying a 4 million rand property. But accounting for all of the expenses, all the stuff that gets added to your bill, you can realistically only qualify for a 3 million rand bond. So that means you are overextending yourself financially to buy a property that you can't really afford, and people end up buying property for bragging rights and not for financial stability. This is what happens with South Africans because we love to show off. So make sure you buy a property that you can actually afford, where you have an emergency fund for if something might happen, and you know it's not going to break you financially if something bad might happen. This might seem overwhelming, and that's why I created an online program to help you with these type of problems and so much more. This is where I cover the entire buying process from financing up until signing an offer and managing your property. So if you wanted to check that out, I'll share the link down in the description, and I'll see you guys there.